Imagine, what if every single person on Earth decided to skip the next 10 centuries? Picture this. The entire human population retreats into deep underground bunkers, choosing to sleep for 1,000 years in specially designed hibernation pods. And while we sleep, millions of AI robots are left behind, monitoring our vitals and silently observing what happens to the world above. Is that even possible? Before we answer that, let's explore exactly what the consequences would be if such a radical scenario suddenly became a reality. To uncover the truth, make sure to stay until the very last second of this video. Number 1. What exactly is this process? Waking up from a 1,000-year slumber, the outside world you once knew would be completely unrecognizable. The concept involves safely putting the human body into a state of suspended animation at incredibly low temperatures. The ultimate goal: to wake up centuries later in perfect physical condition. This groundbreaking scientific method is known as cryonics. Number 2. Day 1 of the Great Slumber. From the very first day, humanity goes to sleep. The systems we once closely monitored begin to spiral out of control. Without human supervision, power plants start to fail, plunging entire cities into total darkness. Automated backup generators might keep humming for a few more days, but without proper maintenance, they too will inevitably die out. And as the power grid collapses, the world goes silent. Global communication networks, the internet, cable TV and phone lines, everything simply shuts down. Number 3. Exactly 1 week later, while we've been peacefully sleeping, the wild takes over. Strays like dogs, cats, monkeys and squirrels begin roaming the streets freely, scavenging through whatever is left behind. Some bolder animals will even break into our abandoned homes, claiming our territories as their own. As for our beloved pets, without our protection, they wouldn't survive more than a week. So, let's just assume we safely put them into hibernation right alongside us. Meanwhile, with the power completely gone, the massive refrigerators in supermarkets, hotels and shopping malls simply stop working. Mountains of food begin to rot, and the overwhelming stench attracts countless insects, starting a rapid, unstoppable process of decay. Number 4. Exactly 1 month later, after 30 days without a single human footstep, the world has already begun surrendering to the relentless power of nature. Houses, towering buildings, and once busy highways are slowly being swallowed by wild vines and overgrown vegetation. Inside our homes, wooden structures and furniture begin their slow, unstoppable process of decay. And with the power grids completely dead, the electric fences that once kept wild animals enclosed are now useless. Massive beasts break out of their enclosures. With no roaring engines or speeding vehicles to fear, animals wander freely across the silent streets. The concrete jungle has truly become a wild jungle. Number 5. Exactly 1 year later, a full year without humanity has given the Earth a massive sigh of relief, a chance to finally breathe. By now, the concrete skeletons of our cities are entirely swallowed by thick vines and relentless vegetation. The wild has officially reclaimed the throne. Out in the oceans, massive cargo ships drift aimlessly like ghost vessels, their abandoned freight now a sprawling kingdom for rats and cockroaches. Beneath the streets, underground pump systems and pipelines have completely clogged, and without us to clear them, Entire cities are slowly being swallowed by rising floodwaters. The pollution is fading, but the landscape we built is drowning. Number 6. Exactly 5 years later. If you were to wake up now, you wouldn't even be able to recognize your own home. The endless, deafening roar of traffic and roaring factories has been completely erased, replaced by the hauntingly beautiful symphony of birds and howling wildlife. Without humans standing in their way, the animal population begins to explode. But the eerie silence on Earth is about to be shattered from above. The International Space Station, our multi-billion-dollar masterpiece in the sky, left completely uncontrolled, finally loses its orbit. Tearing through the atmosphere like a blazing fireball, it crashes back down to a forgotten world. Number 7. Exactly 10 years later. Without a single soul to maintain them, massive dams and aging power plants are rotting away, pushed to the absolute brink of collapse. Relentless, heavy rainfall overloads the forgotten drainage systems. Entire neighborhoods and thousands of abandoned cars are completely swallowed by the rising tides. But from this destruction springs new life. These flooded ruins transform into vast artificial lakes where fish thrive and entirely new ecosystems are born. And yet, despite a full decade with zero human activity, the ghost of our past remains. Global temperature stubbornly refused to drop. Number 8. Exactly 30 years later. By this time, almost all the small, low-lying towns have been completely submerged. In other areas, massive wildfires spread uncontrollably, burning down everything in their path, even destroying what remains of our buildings. High above, artificial satellites, long without human control, finally lose their orbit and begin crashing back down to Earth. But amidst the chaos, the Earth begins to heal. Global warming gradually declines, and the rapid melting of the glaciers finally comes to a halt. Number 9. Exactly 100 years later. A full century without human existence means the entire globe has completely transformed into a vast, untamed forest. Out of all our towering buildings, vehicles and creations, only about 10% remain standing today, left behind as crumbling ruins. Relentless natural disasters like earthquakes, along with decades of severe erosion, have utterly destroyed almost every trace of human engineering. Even our most world-famous monuments and legendary statues have not been spared from this devastation. But in the wake of this destruction, the Earth has found its balance. By now, global temperatures have finally returned to their normal, natural state. Number 10. Exactly 150 years later. Aside from just 1 or 2 tiny, fading traces of human existence, absolutely everything else has been completely reclaimed by nature. A full 1/3 of all our towering high-rise apartments and massive hotel complexes are now completely destroyed. As the global climate shifts, entirely new rivers and powerful water streams begin to form. And if we were watching, we would witness the animal population gradually surging higher. In fact, it will be an era where even extinct animals and long-lost plants finally begin to breathe new life. Number 11. Exactly 300 years later. By this time, almost all digital storage devices have been completely destroyed. Even the massive internet data backups are gone forever. The very concept of technology is nowhere to be found, and since every single book, record and piece of paper has completely rotted away, the ultimate evidence of human history is wiped clean from the earth. 3 centuries is more than enough time for mountains of iron, like our once proud vehicles, to completely rust away into dust. Number 12. Exactly 500 years later. 5 centuries is more than enough time to transform even a global superpower like America into nothing more than a vast, untamed wilderness. A few scattered, crumbling ruins might still be left standing, but as a whole, every visible trace of human existence on this planet has been completely erased. Number 13. Exactly 1,000 years later, after a full millennium without humanity, our world is completely blanketed in lush, vibrant green. Not a single modern building remains standing, but astonishingly, while our modern cities have crumbled to dust, the ancient monuments built thousands of years ago, like the Great Pyramids of Egypt and the Great Wall of China, still stand strong, almost completely untouched by time. At this point, the only place where active human technology still survives is the moon. After 1,000 years, you step outside to witness exactly what the world has become, but this is exactly what we expected. Now, humanity must face its greatest challenge yet, the monumental task of rebuilding everything from scratch. Fortunately, the critical technology and knowledge required to do so has survived. But that brings us to the ultimate question. Why did humanity decide to go to sleep for 1,000 years in the first place? The answer is simple. The Earth desperately needed a break, and it worked. The atmosphere, the oceans, and the wildlife are finally healthy again. Animal populations have stabilized, and most of the plastics have degraded. But some toxic chemicals will remain buried in the soil for thousands of years. It took more than a millennium for global carbon dioxide levels to return to normal, yet radioactive waste, synthetic chemicals, and microplastics will linger for millions of years. If we had continued to destroy the environment, rising temperatures, surging sea levels, toxic air, severe climate change, deadly diseases, and mass extinctions would have spiraled entirely out of control. So, the only way to truly breathe life back into this world was for all of humanity to simply go to sleep. However, no matter how advanced our technology is, this was an unproven experiment. The real results could only be seen 1,000 years later. How much effort will it take to rebuild this overgrown world? What unimaginable challenges will these survivors face? Right now, nobody knows. But if that doesn't sound appealing, then we lovingly remind you, starting today, you need to care about our environment a whole lot more. The time to think about our planet is now.